What was that today, Festive? That's right. It was a victory for the first time in a few weeks. The Eagles get one in the win column to even their record at 4-4 with a 31-13 win in windy Orchard Park, Buffalo, New York today. Eagles get the win. And it was an effort win. Both sides of the ball, for the most part, played well. I thought Carson Wentz had an efficient game. And you know what? The Eagles came out, and you know what? The Bills have a good defense. And sometimes what you gotta do with a bully is you gotta punch him in the mouth, and that's exactly what the Eagles did. The Eagles came out, they were running the ball, and obviously in a game like this with the weather conditions, I mean it was conducive to a running game, and really what team was going to be able to establish the run and win up front was going to be the team that was going to win today, and that team was the Eagles. This was a game kind of reminiscent, at least offensively, for their win that they had earlier in the season at Green Bay. Ironically, another road game, which is the last time before today the Eagles won a road game at Lambeau Field earlier in the year, and they ran the ball and they set the tone. The offensive line was getting off the blocks, pushing the Packers' defensive line back. Uh, uh, you know, um, Winning those upfront battles that you have to win to have success, and that's again what they did today. For the most part, they were winning the battle up front. I know there was some pressure put on Carson. The Bills got some sacks there, but against the run, the Bills just seemed to have no answers. Jordan Howard, solid game. Miles Sanders, solid game. Hope his shoulder's okay. Over 100 all-purpose yards for Miles Sanders, including, what was it, like a 65-yard touchdown run to start the second half. When, again, what I say before about now in this case Buffalo won the toss and wanted the ball first, but Eagles didn't get the ball first in this game. They got it in this first in the second half, and the first possession of the second half was a long touchdown run by Miles Sanders, which was certainly something that helped to really let us feel a little better about things at that time. Because going into the half, it was a close game, and I felt there was a huge, you talk about that show NFL Network does, The Turning Point. The turning point was really at the end of the first half. The Eagles are trailing 7-3, and here comes Buffalo with the ball, and here comes the big strip sack of Allen, who's trying to make a play. It's actually a sweep play, and he gets tackled by Brandon Graham, who then goes ahead and recovers the fumble. Eagles actually had a chance at a couple fumbles today, but they got the second one, and it set the Eagles up in great field position. And then it would be a Carson Wentz to Dallas Goedert touchdown. The Eagles will get the 2-point conversion. I believe Miles Sanders had the 2-point conversion, and that put the Eagles up at the time 11-7. And then of course the big touchdown by Miles Sanders to start the second half. And honestly, that that's something we haven't seen in a long time. Those chunk plays on offense, and the Eagles had a few of those today. Carson had a nice toss in the second half to Alshon Jeffrey. Miles Sanders had another nice catch and run. In the first half, there were plays there that the Eagles offense was making that we really haven't seen them make in recent weeks. So it was good. It was good to see. And like I said, this is one of those. If you want to call it a typical Eagles game, typical Eagles game. They're down. At least in recent years, they're down. A lot of people were picking against them. I thought it was ironic. The only guy that picked the Eagles today on the NFL Network, it was Michael Irvin. But leave it to a former Cowboy to be the one to be the voice of reason there. But everyone else had Buffalo. And like I said, a lot of people were picking Buffalo. Buffalo was like the chic pick this week because they were 5-1 going into the game. They're at home. The Eagles have been struggling all sorts of ways. And I did say, in the preview vid, I said, these are the games that the Eagles, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times will win. Because everyone's picking against them. There is a resiliency to this team, and I think that's one thing that, as a fan base, I think we do forget sometimes. And I know things looked really bleak the last 2 weeks, and we had really no reason to feel otherwise, because the last 2 weeks they played like crap, like absolute garbage the last 2 weeks. But, again, look, they were challenged. They were hit in the face. They took a lot of body blows over the week, by the media, by the fan base, by former players. By the way, we notice to the Eagles, don't bring in any more former Cowboys, please. Okay, they're just nothing but trouble. All right, you get a guy like Scandrick, you let him go because obviously he wasn't very good. Let him go. He's gonna run his mouth and say things, and maybe some of it was warranted, but I mean, these Cowboys. I mean, what can you do? They just. I don't want to see any more players with the star on the helmets come to Philly. Okay, let's Howie, just stay away from them. Okay, stay away from all Cowboys. All right. But no, I mean they had to hear it all week, and look, I mean, hey, rightfully so. The last 2 weeks, they have been piss poor. The defense has been getting burned left and right. The offense is making mistakes, not making enough plays. There's been a lot of talk about, well, D-Jax isn't in there, and how are they going to survive, and blah, blah, blah. And obviously, I mean, look, they looked bad the last 2 weeks. There's no, way around it. They looked that bad. But this week, look, was it against a great offense? No, but it was a road game against a team that's 5-1, against a team whose defense is making plays all season, getting a lot of turnovers, which, by the way, good job by the Eagles offense not turning the ball over. The only turnover was a special teams turnover by, Boston Scott, who scored a touchdown earlier, but then turned the ball over on special teams. But is what it is. The Eagles offense, a clean game, no turnovers, and, again, setting the tone. And, once they got the lead, I mean, they were an absolute machine. Going down the field, Buffalo's defense, who is a good defense. I mean, they are a good defense, but they had no answers. I believe this is the most points that defense has given up all year in a game. Even the Patriots couldn't score like this against the Bills when they beat them earlier in the year in a low-scoring game that was. So yeah, I mean, you got to give the credit where credit's due, and give a lot of credit to the Eagles. The players played again, gave us effort, gave us that want to, gave us those winning plays that you saw on the field today, and give the coaching staff a lot of credit too. And if we have to give a game ball here for the win, I'm going to give it to Coach P. I'm going to give it to Doug Peterson, who called a hell of a game. Great job. Much maligned in the last few weeks for his play calling. Not very inventive. Not a whole lot of run to pass ratio. Just kind of got away from things. But I think today he had a hell of a game plan, knowing that the weather's going to be crappy, and also knowing you are going up against a very good defense. Was able to run the ball, establish the running game, and set things up for the passing game. And the Eagles' offense was very efficient today, in Buffalo. Not unlike really what they were the past few weeks. I mean, they made some plays against Minnesota, but honestly, that game just fell apart, particularly in the second half after the Eagles were able to make a bit of a comeback, and then it just got away from them. Dallas, they just never got their footing in that game offensively. But today, great job by the coaching staff, great job by Doug P. Making, again, getting that game plan together. And look, the coaches can come up with the greatest game plan known to man. If the players aren't executing, it doesn't matter. And I think sometimes that gets lost in translation, because I know a lot of blame goes on the coaching, and it just goes across the board. You can pick a sport. There's going to be a lot of blame put on the coaches. That's just it comes with the job. But the players have to execute. And I'm not taking Doug off the hook here for the past couple of weeks, and other times this season when the offense has struggled, particularly to start games. But at the same time, when the players have to execute these plays. Now today, for the most part, the players were able to execute, but I did think the game calling was good. I think he was aggressive where he had to be aggressive. I think they ran the ball, and his plan for this week is we're gonna go old school. Okay, we're going to run the ball and we're going to establish that run game. It's going to open things up for the passing game. Even though there's not a big burner at receiver in the passing game, you saw the difference when this team was able to establish that run game. It opened things up for the pass. And I don't care what defense you're going up against. If you can run on them, it's going to open things up for the pass because here comes the play actions. Here comes different plays that work with the passing game, that only work with the passing game. When you establish that run game. And I thought that some of the calls, some of the design runs by Carson Wentz in the second half were very good calls. It kept moving the chains and it led to more points. And again, the Eagles, I think, came out today kind of, the old philosophy, the KISS philosophy, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And that's what they did. They came out, they were effective, they ran the ball, the plays worked today. And again, kudos to the coaching staff, kudos to the players for executing those plays. And I thought it was altogether a good game. Were there plays given up by the defense? There was a few, but for the most part, I think we can't complain too much about how the defense played today. They were putting a lot of, what was that word? Pressure on the quarterback, which is something we haven't seen in recent weeks. We saw it today. I think you saw an angry defense out there. And look, they were put against it all week, and rightfully so. Again, you had Scandrick saying his stuff. You had other, the finger pointing back and forth, and this could have gone one of two ways today. Okay, this could have gone the way of them losing again. And realistically, for all intents and purposes, the season's probably, hinging on being over at this point at 3-5. Or they could have came out and said, you know what, we're a better team than what we showed. We know we're better. We're going to show it. And that's exactly what they did. Again, when this team's backs to the wall, they just seem to find ways. It's almost like we wish to start a season their backs would be to the wall, But obviously, the last 2 weeks have been god awful, and does this totally wash out everything from the past 2 weeks? No, but it feels good to get a win. It feels good to get a win. They're 4-4, like I said. Right now, the division is still there. I mean, like I said before, Dallas is not going to run and hide with this thing. Okay, they're not a perfect team themselves. Okay, they did lose to the Jets a couple weeks ago. So they're not perfect themselves, and they're not going to run away with this thing. All right, the fact is we're going to see them again here in some weeks. I guess when's that game? Late November, December. I think it's December, right? December. So we're going to see them again, and it's here. And who knows? By then, the Eagles could be a completely different team than they looked like a week ago. For the better. So, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot at play here. I mean, are they up there with teams like the 49ers and the Saints and the teams running away with different records? No. Are they going to have home field throughout the playoffs? No, but, just get in. I've always said this, you get in any way you can. But, we worry about that in a couple months. It's still before Halloween here, so to talk about playoffs right now is a little foolish. But I will say this, great win. Gutty win, effort win today in windy Buffalo. Exactly what this team needed, was to show us something, show us that ticker that we all know that they have, and I think they certainly did that today. Again, does it cure everything from the past 2 weeks? No. But I think you can take a lot from this game. And I think going forward, like I said, now you got the trade deadline coming up. Hopefully Howie can make a few moves. I still think this team needs another receiver. I still think if they can get some more pass rush, whether it's Von Miller or another player like that, I know that the corners have played a bit better in last week, but I still would feel more comfortable if they were able to get another veteran corner on this team, a better corner, even if I may say, like a Chris Harris Jr., like a Patrick Peterson. I just would feel better. But if anything else, I do think that they should try to get pass rush. And that guy, number 58 in Denver, he's pretty good. I know he missed a play today. That may have sealed the game for them, but he's a pretty good one. And I don't know what it would take to get him. But, I mean, look, Howie kind of swung and missed at some of these other players. It's been well stated in Eagles Nation. But I do think if he can get another pass rusher on this team like a Von Miller, I do think that that can make a difference when you have a secondary. And obviously, the secondary is still something that we're going to have some fears about, if they don't get anyone for the secondary. But one of the biggest problems that this team has had, and obviously the injuries have been a big problem, but the pass rush just hasn't been there. Getting pressure on the opposing quarterback has been non-existent. For those, certainly in the losses. It certainly gets amplified in the losses. But really, most of the season, the Jets game, they were all over them. I mean, 10 sacks, okay? I think they did do a better job today. They won at the point of attack. They were going to get pressure on Allen. They flushed him out a few times. But I still would love to see Howie go out and get some pass rush. And I know he didn't go after Clowney, early in the season, before the season started, and that certainly has been one of those things that, he probably should have. Okay, but Von Miller could be out there. And Von Miller, I know he's not young, but he still has some good years ahead of him. Okay, he still has some good years left, and he's still a heck of a pass rusher. And you get a guy like that on this team, I just think that makes everyone better. I think you're able to address a need, certainly. And I know they had a good game today, okay, against Buffalo, but it's been very helter-skelter. It's been very, just not consistently. The consistent pass rush just isn't there. And I know they've had some injuries, particularly on the defensive tackle. The loss of Jackson has been big. Jernigan is out now. They'll get him back in some weeks, and that will be a big guy to get back on this defensive line. But again, if they can go out, if Howie can make this happen and get Von Miller, I mean, I would be all for it. The guy's a leader. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. The guy knows how to play. And again, a former teammate of Malik Jackson, won a Super Bowl with Malik Jackson with Denver. Now we won't have Malik back until next season. But, hey, I mean, I don't think it could hurt to get Von Miller. And I think in Von's case, I mean, maybe, look, I mean, he's played his whole career in Denver. He's certainly going to go down as a Bronco Hall of Famer, at some point after his playing career is done. He'll probably have his name in the Ring of Honor there. But at the same time, there is such a thing as when a player is on a team that's just not going nowhere, and then they go to another team that has a chance at the playoffs, it almost like revitalizes that player's season, that player's kind of career in a way. And I'm not saying Von Miller's done if he stays in Denver, but that team's going nowhere fast, and they probably won't be going anywhere next season either. I mean, they have a lot of holes to fill. So if the Eagles can go out and Howie can make this happen and get Von Miller here, not only do I think that will help the Eagles, but I think that will help Von Miller. I mean, here's a guy who's meant so much, I know, for that franchise and helped them win a Super Bowl, years ago in Super Bowl 50 against the Panthers. But you get him here, I think that revitalizes him too. I think that that's one of those things that now he's on a team, with all due respect to the Broncos, now on a team that has a chance, to win a division title, to get to the playoffs. I think they'll get the most out of him if they do make that move, and I think that would be a very good move for Howie to make. Does it make up for all the misses that he's had? No, but at the same time, I think when you have a need that's right there and you can fill that need with Von Miller, and again, get that pass rush, get that defensive line, to make plays like they were some years ago and help them win a Super Bowl, even with the corners that are pretty much the same as they are now. I think that would be a huge get for this team, and I think that's the type of move that Howie's known for making. So let's keep our fingers crossed here, that Howie can work some magic, maybe get a Von Miller or another pass rusher, maybe another receiver, another weapon for Carson, and hopefully D-Jax comes back, if it's not this week, but certainly after the bye week. And speaking of this week coming up, and I really won't do a preview right now, but the Bears are a very similar team to Buffalo. Very good, ferocious defense. We know this. They make plays. They get turnovers, right? But their offense has a lot left to be desired. And realistically with them, they, anymore with Chicago, it's like they have a good running back with, what's his name, Cunningham, I believe. If you can shut him down, I think the Eagles have a good chance of winning this game next week against the Bears. Because, again, the Bears are a very similar team to Buffalo, and they're kind of one-sided. They're defensively gifted, offensively challenged. So, and the fact the game's here. And I know the Bears are coming in wounded, and sometimes those are dangerous teams. But as Buffalo found out today. But again, I think there's a good chance the Eagles can get this W, even though it's a revenge factor game for the Bears for double doink last year. But I think it's a good chance the Eagles can get a dub if they play the way they did today. And then you go into the bye week, you're 5-4, and things are looking a whole lot different than they did just a week ago. So again, great win today, character win, effort win. Great job all around. Even dealing with the wind elements there, and taking care of the advantage of the situations they were given. Again, the late turnover in the first half produced that into points, and that was big. That gave them the lead before half. We saw what happened in the second half. Was it perfect? No, but it was a great win. It was a great win, and I say great because certainly it's much better than the what it could have been. Certainly, as we all know. So, Eagles win 31-13. They're now 4-4 on the season. Another game before the bye week at home against Chicago. Finally home. My goodness. They it seems like a month since they played that game against the Jets. Right? And took care of the Jets before the first two in the road trip didn't go very well. But they did finish the road trip strong by getting a big win in Buffalo, and now you come back home, and hopefully they can, build on this thing. Hopefully Howie can make some moves before the deadline. Hopefully they can get 2 in a row going into the bye week, and then they got some monsters coming in after that, right? They got the Patriots coming in, and they got the Seahawks after that. So they got 2 big ones, and the Patriots might still be unbeaten. Hey, you know what? Not for nothing, but wouldn't it be nice to be the first team to knock them off? Give them an L in the season. But we'll see. Hey, that's still weeks to go. Okay, that's weeks to go. We're not worrying about that game just yet. We got a big one next Sunday, 1:00 against those Chicago Bears, and we'll see what happens. But hey, character win, like I said today. Effort win, old school. They went old school. Run the ball, and it sets up the passing game. So it was great to see. Great job by the Eagles. Tip of the hat to the coaching staff. Tip of the hat to Miles Sanders. I know he's been much maligned as well. Over 100 yards, all-purpose yards today, catching and running, and a huge touchdown there. 65-yarder to start the second half. Hopefully his shoulder's okay. I know he left the game with the shoulder, and the Eagles, not for nothing, they've had certainly their fair share of injuries on the season. But good to see, like I said, big win in Buffalo, and here's hoping the Eagles can start a winning streak. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? How about that, Festive? Yes. I know, Festive. The Flyers' winning streak looks like it might come to an end tonight against the Islanders, down 5-2. So Festive isn't very happy about that. But all told, other than the Flyers game tonight, unless they can come back, it's been a winning weekend in Philadelphia. Flyers won last night, a comeback win against Columbus. The Sixers, a comeback win against Detroit. The Eagles, you want to call it a comeback win against the Bills, because they were down 7-3 at one point. And a win is a win, and we needed it. Boy, did we need it. We needed that one today. So congrats to the Birds getting it done. Back to 500. We'll try to get above 500. We'll try this Sunday against the Bears. And I will be back with a preview vid, of course, for that. And, of course, the Festive 4. I'll try to film that on Halloween, because I think that'd be kind of cool to do a video on Halloween. That's my favorite holiday. So I'll try to come back for a vid on Halloween for the preview vid. And as we are now approaching week 9 of the season, and hopefully the Eagles can be above 500 as we go to the bye week, which would be very good. And yes, Festive's very happy about Festive's 4. The Festive 4 this week went pretty good. More about that in the next vid. And that's going to do it, Eagles Nation, for this vid. Thanks for watching. Great win for the Birds. Let's go, Birds! Back in the win column, 4-4. Bring on those Bears coming into Lincoln Financial. Finally, another home game. Finally. It's been a while. Maybe they forgot what the stadium looks like. We'll see. Okay, so anyhow, great win today, I should say, in windy Buffalo. Hope that they can build on it. All right, and Howie, get busy. All right, let's see you in the next one. Bye.